Oh. Good morning, everyone. Come on in. It is time for church. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. Whether you are in person today, at home, or watching this later on this week or next week, you are welcome here. You're welcome to this space today. I am Reverend Mandy Goheen, and it is my great honor to serve this congregation as its settled minister. My pronouns are she, her, and it's my anniversary today of being here for call, not for being married. That's that's later. But this is the 4th anniversary of my candidating week here, and at the end of that week I was called, and so I'm going to have a couple places in the service where we'll celebrate that and celebrate just how much this community is not only beloved to me, but gives me purpose and centering in my life. Before we begin, like any good journey to the moon, we need to go over some safety procedures. So, I want to point out that there's an exit here, there's an exit back there, and there are exits downstairs. In case of emergency, if you have a little beloved person downstairs, just go on out. They have their own procedure to get out the door. There are signs posted that say, please be safe in case of an intruder attack. We use wasp spray or a fire extinguisher, and we call 911. We notify the basement folks. Lock the doors, turn off the lights. There are board members here, and there are people watching and keeping our community secure today. In case of a disruption during service, I have a plan. And my plan is, who loves the song, This Little Light of Mine? If somebody is being a troll or disruptive, we are going to sing at the top of our lungs and gently escort them out. So that is the plan for today. No, don't touch. Don't touch or feed the trolls. It's important for our safety. This is a space where we're brave together, we're strong together, and we explore this life and this world for justice and knowing that beloved community can be in any moment at any time right here. So, some of you might have known about the space mission in 1969, the year I was born. And I want to say something about this mission today. We are on a mission about our stewardship. Today we are building the future, honoring the past, and uniting generations. As the space program has really done throughout the history of the United States, it's been a place of pride and a place to sink into sometimes when other parts of our government are questionable. So we're going to celebrate space exploration. We're going to celebrate what every minister loves to call the Sermon on the Amount, which I will talk about stewardship, and I will talk about how giving is part of our tradition. Before we do that, there is the tradition that we light a chalice in Unitarian Universalist congregations all over the world to mark the beginning of our time together. And I want to invite Reverend Pam up to light our chalice and invite all of you to join me in the chalice lighting words. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Yay! Now, please rise in body or spirit here or at home and join us in number 112, Do You Hear? Oh, wait, but those are going to, oh, yeah.
So I'm going to play it a couple of times and give you the opportunity to greet each other as you see fit also, and then we're going to join together in song. So please rise and greet each other.
Hello, greetings.
Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul? Hear the cry, fear won't still. Hear the heart's call to will. Hear the sigh, startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear,
And do you? Okay. So, in celebration of my candidating week anniversary, I wanted to tell the story that I told the first day I was here. And so, anyone young or young at heart, come on up, David Littlefield, because you are part of this story. And if you weren't here that day, it's a good one. So, who knows what you need to fly? Ooh, butterfly wings are helpful. What do you need to fly? Anyone? What do you need to fly? Nobody's answering. What would you like? What would you use if you needed to fly? Wings. Wings, an airplane. Fairy wings. Fire. What did you say?
Hot air balloon.
Oh, I thought you said firewood. I was like, that won't work. Hot air balloon. My broom. Okay. Fireworks strapped to your back. Now, I know not everyone around here is comfortable talking about snakes. If I'm honest, they give me the heebie-jeebies, but they're part of the interdependent web of all existence, and like it or not, we are connected in some way, even if that way is avoidance and downright fear. The story I'm telling today is about the last farm girl who grew up on the Knorr farm in southern Ohio. It's about me. So here we go. Once upon a time in the 70s, there was a little girl who lived in an odd, tiny house her great-grandpa had built. They said that the great-grandpa of hers loved ordering things from catalogs the way we like ordering things from Amazon sometimes. He had ordered his house, his second wife, and a Model T Ford, all from a catalog, and all came on the train after being carefully selected. So the little farm girl grew up in a lovely, tiny, yellow, open-floor house, Florida bungalow in southern Ohio. She was the only child that had the run of the farm. So when the chores were finished, she usually had a pack of stray animals following her around, including a baby groundhog for a whole day. It might not surprise you a bit to find out that that farm girl was just a little bit what her granny called ornery and a little bit big for her britches, which means she was curious, spunky, and talked like a grown-up. She didn't get in trouble very much, but when she did, she had to go to the dusty corner. Oh, boy. She'd have to stand in the corner for 1 minute for each year she was old. 4 minutes seemed like forever, and once standing in that dreaded dusty corner, she made a plan to run away. And she knew just where to go, her granny's house on the other side of the barn. She tiptoed out of the corner and slipped out the back door. The farm girl was in enough trouble that she ran. as fast as her legs would go, bare feet beating in rhythm as they pounded across the warm, dusty grass. About the same time she was standing in the corner, her granny was having a standoff of her own. A blue racer snake that Granny swore had chased her out of the garden the day before was sunning itself on her basement steps. And Granny had taken care of it herself with a garden hoe and flung the headless snake over the wall leading to her basement steps that usually kept out the riffraff, but not that day. When the girl heard her mom calling her by her in-trouble name, Amanda Marie, from the other side of the barn, it made her little legs run faster and change her route. She was in double trouble now. Desperate to escape standing in the corner for 8 minutes of double trouble, she ran around the back of the house to Granny's basement door, not yet seeing the dead snake. Running down the hill to the basement door, she picked up speed again. Granny was standing at her sink and washing up, and she saw her granddaughter, she called Petey Rabbit, run past 2 of the 4 basement windows and then disappear, as if by magic. The little girl had made an important discovery while running downhill at full blast. A headless dead snake in your path, when it's too late to avoid, leads to unassisted human flight. Petey Rabbit didn't just jump over the obstacle in her path, she flew. She was 4, and flying seemed like a reasonable option that day. She put her arms up in front of her and jumped into the air, and she flew right over that snake and had time to study it from above as she flew over. She flew long enough to think and notice things about flying, but I bet you know what happened next. Ouch. Much less graceful than flight is landing. She rolled across the dusty ground, skinning both of her knees enough to no longer be in double trouble. What did Petey Rabbit, the last farm girl, learn? Granny's house was always an adventure. Flight, a reasonable option, but landing was a bummer. Her mom would call her little girl skin knees, painted red with stinging medicine under Band-Aids, her natural consequences. Natural consequences are something we learn the hard way. Most important, her mom loved her enough to chase her and forgive her. And just sometimes, when there's no turning back and no time to be brave, we can trust our instincts, those things we just know, because we already knew how to fly. And that's the end, but it's not the end. Because I want to tell a story about, David, can you stand up next to me? So this is the second time I've told this story, and the first time I told this story was 4 years ago. How old were you then? 6. And when we had a dining out moment during my candidating week, which I was meeting everyone and getting to know the congregation, David came with his parents, who marched him up to me and said, "David has a question for you." But he did not have a question for me. He had a statement. And he didn't quite remember what he said, but he said, "I don't believe you can fly." The question is the answer around here, y'all. I mean, that is set in stone. So he said, I can't believe you can fly. And so I started stammering. I said, "Well, you know how you use your imagination?" And he's like, no, he was not buying that. "You know how you just jump and you kind of go?" No, he wasn't buying that. And then I said, "Okay, I got it. Do you know how Buzz Lightyear falls with style?" And he said, "Yes." Because in that movie, Buzz also can't really fly, but he has some wings, and he glides a little bit, right? And when I said that statement, David turned around and left, satisfied with my answer. And I had fallen more deeply in love with this place than I already was. So let's thank David partially for me being here. And thank all the youth and young folks who are just such a huge part of this church and part of why we give and do stewardship. So at this time, we will sing you downstairs, get y'all off the hot seat, and you can go to religious education. is a time in our service where all are invited forward to light a candle, to mark a joy, a concern, a celebration, an everydayness, anything that you might feel you need to mark that time with light so that this church might look upon it with love and offer us your support. So at this time, you're invited to come forward to light a candle. And Reverend Pam, can you light a candle for the joys and concerns we're holding in our heart, and an additional one for folks that are online and unable to join us today? Join me in a time of meditation and reflection. Set aside the worries, as hard as it is. Let's take a deep breath together. Another so our neighbors can hear it. And sink into this space of multiple truths. The knowledge that questions are the answer. A place for celebration, a place where authenticity is sacred, where all forms of prayer, all forms of the divine are welcome, in a place where we celebrate the moon and flowers and love, in a place where things can be hard and we know in community they will pass. A place where it's too hard to say that it is safe, but it is certainly brave. Breathe into this moment of beloved community, knowing you are loved and part of something as beautiful as the moon. May it be so, and blessed be. That little girl also loved space travel. It's probably because my grandp was one of the first civil air pilots before the Army actually started the Army Civilian Air Corps. He was a flight inspector. We had an airport on our farm. During the Depression, my grandpa had learned, and his brother learned how to work on airplanes, and they had mowed down 2 of the cornfields and turned them into grass airstrips. We had surveying planes and crop dusting planes and adventures everywhere. It was a space of great anticipation, and I remember my grandpa traveling to Florida when the Challenger rocket was traveling into space with the first teacher on it. I also remember being sick that day and watching as the Challenger exploded. It takes great bravery and tenacity to think, to dream of space. It takes stewardship and care of that dream. And so in that spirit today, we are going to talk about stewardship and some really cool astronauts. This is the Artemis. There was a picture of the goddess Artemis in the previous slide during the prayer. She is the goddess of the hunt. She is the goddess of virtue. She is the goddess of the moon. So, of course, these ships that are going to the moon are named for her. This is the first mission. Did I miss a slide? No? Let's see. Oh, this is the next mission to come. We're getting ready for the Artemis II, and these are the astronauts that are going. Look at that. So one would guess an astronaut might be a young person. These folks are all in their 40s, which I think is super cool. The first person of color going on a moon mission will pilot the craft. Victor Glover. The first woman will be on a trip to the moon. Christina Cook. Jeremy Hansen is from Canada. He will be joining our team and going with them. And Reed Wiseman, like, what a cool name for the captain of the ship, right? Like, I think he probably knows what's going on. They're going on this journey together, and it's pretty terrifying if you ask me, because it is honoring the past. They're going to go and explore the moon again. They're not going to land on the moon. Not quite ready for that. They're going to go test this rocket out that last time it went on an orbit around the moon didn't have people on it. And so it's going to have people on it this time. And here's the part that freaked me out. They're going to do orbit around the Earth to see if all the stuff works to keep them alive on the rest of the trip. Like other moon missions, this thing's going to land in the water when they get home. 10 days they will be in space. Building a future and honoring the past of our trips to the moon and uniting generations. And that seems interesting because the purpose of this trip to the moon is not for us to go live on the moon. The purpose of this test trip to the moon is to get ready to go to Mars. Because this is going to be the first beyond Earth's low orbit flight that has had people on it since we went to the moon in the 70s. That's amazing. This didn't happen out of nowhere. People didn't just show up looking this cool. I mean, I wish, right? Look at that. We're in a time where we need to believe in something. We're in a time where we're grasping to have a little bit of pride in our country, pride in the place we live. And I think that for me, the astronauts have always been someone I was proud of, someone I felt connected to, someone to look up to. 3,500 people applied for this job. 4 got it. That's pretty cool. Now, they have learned things the hard way, but they have used stewardship. NASA has used stewardship to get to this point. And what we mean by stewardship is taking great care. They think this thing is going to launch next year, but they are taking great care to get ready for the journey together. They're checking and rechecking all the different equipment on the rocket and then checking it again. They are training. Some of these people are training as aquanauts in deep water, which sounds even, I don't know which would be scarier to me, space or deep water. Both sound a little terrifying. They're doing something when they go to space, and I learned a new word. Eva is my mom's name, and I didn't know it had to do with space exploration, so I'm kind of excited. I know it was in the movie WALL-E, different Eva. Eva is unaccompanied from a ship, not attached. So each time they go into space, and there will be what we would call a spacewalk during this. They'll go out of the ship just to test the equipment. Can you imagine just going somewhere to test and do science? Someplace very small and tight and cramped. I went to Houston a couple years ago and went to the visit and see the space shuttle there and to the Space Center, and I had the honor of one of the physicists there. I know you're going to be shocked, was a Unitarian Universalist from that church in town, and he took me on a tour of the Space Center, and I learned all these little inside gossipy things about astronauts, and I was delighted. First of all, Neil Armstrong is the first person to stand on the moon because he was the only one that could get out of there first. It was the order that they were cramped in to that little craft. I also learned that if a cosmonaut on the space station is doing chin-ups on one side, that it bounces the American air astronauts on the other side. Oh, that was terrible. I learned that astronauts are little people. They're not giant tall. We think of these commanders and pilots as these big, huge people, and these are all kind of small folks so that they can fit into tight spaces. And I also learned, because I am inherently curious about how they went to the bathroom, because I had questions. And I found out because Christina Cook's going with them this time now, they have some multi-sex tube that anybody can use to pee, which sounds exciting. I also learned that Reed Wiseman is the first person to ever gain weight in space. And he gained weight because the chocolate pudding pie, I guess it was in one of those little squirty things, is delicious. And when he got home from his mission on the space station, he had to buy bigger pants. They're growing plants in space. They're doing all these things with creativity and imagination and care. And it just reminds me of this church. It reminds me of we don't know what's going to happen next. And we have a lot of choices about that. When we build a future, it doesn't mean we have a specific idea of what exactly is going to happen, but it's worth building. It's worth taking the time and the care to create a space for the future to happen. These folks are helping us get ready to go to Mars. They're not going to the moon. They're not going to be in a lifetime where this actually happens. They're working on a future they may never see. Their children may never be here to experience. Building the future is important, but you can't do that without honoring the past, and that's why I thought it was so neat they were going back towards the moon to check things out. There have been some conspiracy theories that the moon landing was a farce. I did some research on that too. And apparently, there are some mirrors there that you can reflect lasers off of that prove that a moon landing actually happened. I also found out that astronauts snuck things onto the moon regularly, which I thought was pretty funny. There was a scandal where somebody had snuck some stamps onto the moon and then sold them for a very high price in Germany. There is also, they snuck a sculpture onto the moon and a plaque to honor astronauts who had died in other missions. We talk about the moon and Mars as our next great place to go, but do you know that there is 450,000 pounds of garbage on the moon that we have left there? Wrecks, rovers. We're already trashing the place and we haven't even showed up to live there yet. It teaches us that conservation is important, and it also teaches us that as we go forward, if we do meet somebody in space or something or whatever, that hopefully we've learned our lessons about colonialism. We've learned to take good care and not conquest and take, because that's what the moon was about at first. Who can get their flag up there? Who can be first? Who does it belong to? Hopefully, as we are honoring the past and uniting generations, we can have an understanding that we're not taking, we're learning together. We're building a new future. Because if we are uniting generations, we want to make sure people have the knowledge and the tools that we do and the learning from the mistakes we made. Remember those natural consequences that we learned so hard from. And I also know the frustration of trying to teach my children the hard lessons I learned so that they didn't have to. I know that's not a thing. Everybody's going to learn their own lessons, right? The hard way seems to be the only way sometimes, but hopefully around here, we can be in community and learn the easy way. You see, we have this covenant together. This covenant of how we're going to act and build and be stewards of this place. And when I say stewards of this place and stewardship, I am not just referring to money. I'm referring to our mission to care for each other, our mission to care for people who might not be so easy to care for, our mission to be brave in space together and be authentic where we are. Uniting generations to build a future so that the next person who is here, the next person who walks through this door knows that this is a place of love, a place where hate has no space. And if it shows up, it's going to get sung to, perhaps. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga is a special, important place. In this time, in the past, and in the future, we have been the voice of reason. We have been what people needed to get through the day. We have been a place of laughter and celebration and music. But that didn't happen in a void. That happened because of the stewardship to this place, the great care that was taken. So when babies grow up, maybe one day they'll be standing here, sitting with you, taking great care to steward this place. It's not just the grounds, it's not just the money, it's all of us together. Someone said to me a couple weeks ago, I've noticed your preaching's gotten better, gooder. I wasn't horrible before, but it's getting better. We all know. Anyway. And I said, the reason that's happening is because people are really leaning into the stewardship around here and doing a lot of the volunteer work that I was kind of running around trying to fix and patch during COVID. It really feels like that commitment to the future is paying off. It really feels like we're into the next era of this church. And the more work you all do, the more space I have to celebrate and preach and do good work beyond here in Unitarian Universalism. And I want to thank you for that. This is an amazing place to serve. It's amazing. It's amazing to serve here, but I don't serve here alone. Did y'all know that? Each one of you are critical to the mission. Each one of you are critical to the everyday workings of this place, because what's the point if you're not here? First of all, this is a place where it's worth our commitment of time, talent, and treasure so that we can be brave people building the future, honoring the past, and uniting generations. May it be so. But here's my awkward transition. I'd like to invite the staff to come up here with me for a moment. If you are a staff of this congregation, please come up here with me. Did I not warn you about this? I'm sorry. Camille's probably downstairs doing something wonderful. So look, this is mission control right here. Y'all are the astronauts, just to be clear, all right? All right? And you have to have a good mission control and a good plan to pull this off, right? None of us are alone in this work. All of us are doing it together. And look at who you're employing for mission control, for crying out loud. Let's clap about that again. I appreciate so much this team. And I might be showing how much of a feminist I am by the lineup, but it's okay. But it is such a joy to be part of mission control for all of you as you explore into the next part of what this church might be. You become stewards of the future. And it doesn't always matter who mission control is. What matters is we have brave astronauts to boss around. So, I'm kidding. Thank you so much. You're off the hot seats. Thank you. Cass is our bookkeeper. Yay. Farron is my handler. And Selena, awesome music. And then Camille is downstairs doing what religious educators do that we never see while we're up here. This place is worth our time, talent, and treasure. This place is worth it because this is a beacon of love. And in that spirit, our offering is going to be gratefully received. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Thank you. Camille, come here. All right, let's applaud for Camille. Yay! No, okay, that's good. You can turn. Just yay, yay. Okay, I had to take a moment for that. Everybody deserves a good clap. And now, it is time for our social justice moment. Andy and Charlotte. Okay, and here's a microphone right here. Andy and Charlotte.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Andy. My pronouns are he and they. And
I'm Charla, she, her.
we're going to do the social justice moment today in connection with our fairy tea party that's happening outside right after church. And you may think, what in the world would a fairy tea party have to do with social justice? Our tea party today is in honor of May Day, or Beltane, one of the neo-pagan holidays of the wheel of the year. And so outside we're going to have our maypole dance and tea party. So please come if you're young or young at heart or have kids and want to participate or just want to watch and just gather and learn more. But there is a political sort of implication for this day. And we have some quotes from Peter Linebaugh, who's a historian. And he says, May Day is about affirmation, the love of life, and the start of spring. So it has to be about the beginning of the end of the capitalist system of exploitation, oppression, misery, toil, and moil. May Day was historically a celebration of all that is free and life-giving in the world. So it makes sense that since the enclosures of the 15th century, when the commons were privatized, it's also been a day of strike and revolution. The festival has always tended to be the most boisterous of the year. It carries the overarching message that change cannot be stopped.
Yes. And in the spirit of the natural origins of the holiday, now we commit seed to soil. We rejoice that summer has triumphed over winter. We step into our power to create, to reclaim the commons, and declare our sovereignty. We celebrate with fulsome appetites and frisky play. At the altar, we honor milk lines and movements that embody the potent energies of love and freedom together. Boudica, Ellen of Ways, Mother Jones, Lucy Parsons, John Brown, Romani Resistance, the Zapatistas, the Arab Spring, the Black Panthers, and the American Indian Movement. Now is the time to channel your energy and commitment to create something powerful and meaningful for yourself and the collective.
So what is usually my favorite part of the service, and I love it so much that I have handed it over to our stewardship team. So come on up for So What? Huh? I'm not going to forget about it. Never. Don't catch on fire. Do you want me to hold things? The fire of commitment. Okay.
Hello, everyone. You clearly all know me. Hi, my name is Chen. My pronouns are he, him, and once again, I'm the representative of your friendly neighborhood stewardship team for the stewardship campaign at UCC this year. I just wanted to give a quick refresh and an update on our stewardship campaign and let everybody know where we are, as well as what we're hoping to get to in the near future. And so just a quick refresh for those of you who maybe have not heard about our stewardship campaign. What is it and why are we doing stewardship? Stewardship is our opportunity to plant some seeds in the ground, in the soil that is this community. It's our chance to cultivate those seeds, as well as sustain this community into the future. We talk about stewardship maybe a little bit more in this time of year about our financials, but stewardship is about more than that. It's about time, talent, as well as treasure. And to me, I think I mentioned this in some conversations, stewardship is about those three things, because without any one of those three, we're not going to be able to make it very far in cultivating and sustaining this community. Sometimes I think it can be a little awkward to talk about money as a community. You know, the church is asking for money. maybe it's making us a little uncomfortable, but to me, what it really is, it's a force multiplier. You know, I like to see the multiplication table, the symbol between those three things. You know, it's to sustain our community. It's our time times our talent times our treasure. And what this campaign is about, as you've heard from Reverend Mandy, and I love this image, which is, you know, the staff is our mission control. They're the supporters. We are the astronauts. We are the ones who are traveling on this journey, and we are the ones who must come together and support this community as well in order for it to thrive. And so, if we move on to the next slide, where are we right now? Maybe that's a question. We're moving forward. We're making progress. If you've maybe paid a little attention in our fellowship area, you'll notice that there is a Lego set in the corner of a model Artemis rocket that will take us to the moon. And we are currently at 20% of the way there. So we need a little bit more construction on the rocket to get us to that 20% mark. But as of this moment, we've collected up to 20%, about 22% of our 170,000 goal, coming from about 20% of the number of households we're hoping to reach. And so get in your pledge forms, get in your pledge cards quickly. One of the great things about pledging this year, and you'll notice that I have this beautiful blue box here. This is where you can turn in your pledge cards. Not here, but in the back by Farron, you'll notice she's standing by a table with a blue tablecloth. Please return your pledge cards as soon as possible, because for this year, to celebrate our history, we have these wonderful the most recent 20 years of our history books as a gift for you if you turn in your pledge cards before a deadline. So. Oh?
Me.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, what a surprise.
Wow, we have somebody who is going to claim it right now. Thank you, Terry, for pledging so early. So get your pledges in early and receive your wonderful gift. They are in right now, so if, you know, when you are pledging and we get your card, we'll make sure to get those gifts to you. If you can move to the next slide. Our deadline for pledges this year is May 21st, which is in 2 weeks. If you get your pledge cards in before then, you will receive our wonderful gift. And that will support our annual meeting, which will happen on June 4th. The pledges will give us an estimate in order to build our budget for the next year. So knowing how much money we are able to contribute to this community is going to be a great help in setting that budget. So thank you very much. Oh, yes.
Just want to add, need this thing. I'm Dady Springer, she, her, whatever. I just want to add that I put my pledge in last night on my computer. You can do that too. And it's a very easy way to do it. You don't have to sit down with paper and pen, and it saves the paper too. So I don't think mine is in there yet, but it will be next week.
Yes, thank you so much, Dady. The link to that is on our homepage, uucc.org. If you go to the website, there should be a banner right on the homepage for you to pledge online.
If you've already pledged, there is a book with your name and with a Post-it note in the front of it. So you get one today. Excellent. Okay. Oh, what a great ending. So please rise in body and or spirit for our closing song, The Fire of Commitment.
In light of our social justice moment, I hope you will sing this lustily. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when From the stories of the living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Please join me in our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Thank you. All right, it is the favorite time of some. It is announcement time. I do want to make an announcement. There are multiple things starting to happen after church at the same time. It's cool. We can be all the places. I will be up here in this corner having a history discussion. There's lots going on outside, but that's all I have for an announcement, and I'd like to hand it over to Christian for the rest of the announcements. But thank you all so much for being here today and for sharing this beautiful Sunday morning with us. Your presence here is important, and I'm grateful for each of you. Have a wonderful week, and go fight the good fight out in the world. Amen. Amen.
Good morning. Turning it on, my mic here makes it easier for the sound guys. Thank you all. So let's get started right away with Judith.
Hi, everyone. I just want to let you know, last Monday, as we were standing out, we were joined by multiple churches and multiple ministers. We had at least 45 folks. We needed more signs. So if you feel like joining us, who knows if they'll all come back, but I think some of them will. So if you feel like joining us, 4:30 to 5:30, Miller Park.
Next one is Rich. And before I do, if you need to make some money over the next year, I really recommend to you horse betting and talk to Judith because she won last night.
All right, how many people are currently either in a committee or on the board right now? Please stand up.
All the astronauts, please.
All the astronauts, all of them. So, all right, so everybody look around. If you're not standing up, why not? I figured we can be astronauts. We can be in, instead of going up, we can be in here within this church. And we need a few good folks that are interested in finding out what it's like to be involved in how the church's day-to-day stuff goes on, but not having to be there every day to do it, but you come to meetings and find out stuff and add your own 2 cents worth and all that. So please consider that. Talk to those people in the leadership committee, nominating committee. Dadey's here today. Lucy, is she here today? I don't see her here. Roger Davis is still here today. So consider that. Be an astronaut.
Thank you, Rich. Next one.
I don't know, Christian, if you were planning to say this. I'm Judy Gallagher. I am on the board, and it doesn't say that on here, but I did confirm with Andy. We do have a Board of Trustees meeting after the potluck on Wednesday night, so you're welcome to stay for that after you have something fun to eat. Also, I'm with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and if you're free this afternoon and not going to hear a choir or hear a lot of other things happening, we're meeting at the Eastgate Library at 2:30 to get reorganized in Chattanooga.
Thank you, Judy. Any other announcements?
Of course, I want to mention yoga tomorrow, which is a lot of fun. You can come and donate something if you want to or not. Also, we have a very good teacher here. The last couple of Mondays, we've filled up the entire fellowship area, and we're starting to move out into the sanctuary area too. So come join us for yoga tomorrow at 6. We have some extra mats if you need one as well. The other thing I want to mention, and I don't want to preempt anyone because someone else might want to make this announcement, but we do have our potluck coming up this coming Wednesday, and after the potluck, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the garden and we're going to plant a pollinator garden down there. I'm going to bring a bunch of plants from my nursery. If you want to learn more about native plants or building a pollinator garden, come eat with us on Wednesday and then join us for the planting of those plants.
That was, then let me fill in just a few more things that I see here. So yes, once again, tomorrow is also the Miller Park Standout for Voting Rights at 4:30 with several of our church members. Then other things, maybe for this coming Saturday, what I saw is there is an RE summer potluck at 5 p.m. Just making sure that just making sure that I'm not saying anything wrong according to the newsletter. And next Sunday, it's a Mother's Day service with a flower communion. Keep all of that in mind. Put that one on your fridge, or check out the newsletter. And as you write things out, make sure that you just have lots of different communities here at church. Just come on here, leave the Netflix and the latest TV show. It's still gonna be there for a few more days there. Finally, as we're going out there, kind of having some fun today with the maypole, I kind of want to work with you guys. If you get really excited, then you kind of want to kind of yell out kind of your excitement. So where I'm from, kind of looking like that in Austria, kind of for the maypole, we do a but so as you guys work yours, I want to see kind of, you guys have come maybe with different traditions. On 3, I want to hear your moment of excitement, how you would say that. Just think about it for a moment. And it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a yeah! So with that celebration, serve the world as this service ends.